Welcome to episode 353 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, Vision Pro, Mac, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and I have a brand new guest this week. I'm so glad he's here for the very first time. Eric Bolden. How you doing, Eric?
Great. Glad to be here. I brought a friend.
I see. He's got a, what was it? A
red-tailed hawk.
Yeah. Red-tailed hawk. So glad you're here. And Jeff Gamet is here. How you doing, Jeff? I'm glad you're back, actually.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm back, too. Excuse me. I'm still not firing on all thrusters. However, you could probably say that about me at any given time.
It's true. And last but certainly not least, Marty Jencius is here. Thanks for being here, Marty. How you doing?
Well, it's the end of my work week, essentially. And so I wanted to get home here and get ready for the show. So I went through the drive-through and got home and had too many things in my hand and dropped my vanilla shake in the garage.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So my wife said she's tired. She's going to bed. I need to take the dog out later. And I said, well, if I take the dog out later, I can accomplish two tasks. I can clean up the shake in the garage with the dog, and the dog can have a nice little snack before it's time for bed. So,
and then about 3 a.m., you can be back up to clean up another mess.
Well, let's not say we're going to let them know what happened.
Fair.
That is fair. So, as I always do, we haven't had a new guest in quite a long time. So, you are the pleasure of having you here this week, Eric. And Eric Bolden, we've obviously met at Macstock. That's how we've known each other for many years. And you are currently doing a great podcast with Marty of the Vision Profiles, as well as you have other ventures. But tell a little bit about everybody about yourself. What do you do as far as your Apple life goes?
I've been playing with Apple stuff for a really long time. Currently, I'm doing IT work, so mostly Macs, some phones, iPads, and whatever oddball question you could possibly get coming from a statistician with an Apple logo in front of them.
Yeah.
But I also like to sort of mix it up and do photography. I figure I need a hobby that's not computers. So I picked photography using computers. and then, immersive photography so that I can have an excuse for the Vision Pro. So it's been kind of neat. Recently, I've started trying to play with 2 Apple Vision Pros so that I can see if I can figure out how to do some of the collaborative stuff, and I discovered that lots of it doesn't quite work the way you expect, which is, I think, why there's a new beta.
There is. We'll talk about that in just a second. But I'm so glad you're here, and we're going to have a lot of fun here. A third person now that has a Vision Pro, so we definitely can hit a little bit on that topic as well. So, but
poor Jeff.
Good lead in.
Poor Jeff.
Poor
Yeah.
Jeff.
I'm just all left out. I blame Chuck Joyner because he never bought me one.
Yeah, well, he didn't buy himself one, so.
Sometimes he is so cheap.
He is. Well, that's another story. But let's dive into This Week in Vision Pro. This week, for those who are not on beta, the 4th update was released of 2.4 VisionOS. And it, which came out as the actual operating system came out in September version 2, and it's 2 months after 2.3. So it went a full 2 months before the next version actually came out. All 3 of us, of course, beta test. So this, of course, did bring Apple Intelligence to the Vision Pro for the very first time, and now that iOS 18.4 is out, and I'm very excited because I don't put beta on my production iPhone. I now can get access to the Vision Pro app that's on the iPhone.
Yeah.
And the Vision Pro does have an M2 silicon chip inside, so it's capable of running some pretty insane stuff with Apple Intelligence. Of course, it added the image playground and the Genmoji, and you've got a lot of stuff we've been talking about with that, as well as improve the guest user, which we've been talking about quite a bit in beta, and the Spatial Gallery app. I've been trying to play around with that a little bit. As like I said, the Vision Pro app on the iPhone is great too. Eric, how have you been actually taking a look at any of the Spatial Gallery stuff that just came out? Obviously, you've been beta testing it, so what have your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have kind of played with it a little bit. It's really nice to get sort of a selection of curated content, so you don't end up, there's other places where you can get some nice, immersive content, but it varies a lot. Sometimes it's low resolution, sometimes it's high resolution. This is nice and consistent, so it. Hopefully, they will open it up and have more examples and more artists that they can feature, and maybe there'll be a secondary app. But it's a good example of lots of the different types of content all in one spot.
Absolutely. Marty, you feel the same about the spatial? Have you tried the Spatial Gallery?
Yeah, Eric's kinder than I am about it because I just don't want to look at other people's photos. I want to make it available for me to load my photos on it so I can pop it on somebody else's head and they can get the experience of shots that they might be familiar with because it's family or locations that we've been to. But right now I'm restricted to watching what Apple decides to put in the gallery. And I don't know if that's going to change. I think it's still just going to be a side, it might just be a side app where Apple puts cool stuff in. And for me, that's not enough. So,
but to be fair, you can create an album in Photos and share that album.
Yeah, then okay.
And then it's your stuff.
We always fight like this, Eric. I don't understand.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I installed the. We'll talk about. We probably just will go ahead and move on to beta. The beta version of VisionOS 2.5 was released this week, and I just installed it yesterday and started playing with it a little bit. And there was some improvements, and Eric, you did mention to say that something was added to that 2.5 added that you may have found, right?
Yeah, I was having some problems if you do FaceTime to another user of the Vision Pro, and then you try and share content back and forth and look at that person's location. I was having more inconsistencies with the 2.4 version. I'm not positive. I think that they've started doing some changes with that, but I'm not positive because, for some unknown reason, the other person with the Vision Pro doesn't want to wake up in the middle of the night and talk to me. So there's some scheduling things, and I'll do some more checking with that. The sharing and are basically collaboratively looking at an album that does work pretty well, and the panoramic shots, it's good. You can create an album, have a sequence of panoramic shots, and share it with the other person when they drop in and make it immersive. They get that kind of cylinder around them, and then you can control and advance it so you can get them to jump from spot to spot. So we were doing the Grand Canyon. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. What did you find, Marty? Did you find anything interesting?
Not yet, really. I've been tied up the last 2 days and saw that the beta came out yesterday, but haven't added it. So I'll be curious to do, and haven't seen much chatter about it in Reddit or other places, at least that I could find.
I do have the actual release notes from Apple's developer site. There really isn't much to show that is too really exciting. So kind of kind of disappointing, but that's the way it goes when it comes to this updates. But it it's installed fine, and it was pretty incredible. I'll go back to 2.4 real quick. Boy, that was a huge update. I think it was like something like 8 gigabytes. I don't know if any of you guys noticed that. It was like, wow.
It took a while.
It took quite a while on that. So I think it was pretty insane that is that big. Especially when you only have 256. Well, most do. There was 512 for the offer too, wasn't there? For the
and a terabyte,
and of course,
Oh,
there is. That's right. But you had to pay a good chunk of money for that. So I've been fine with 256. It's working out fine for me. So, but anyway, yep, that's about it. As far as I could see this week on any Vision Pro news, but we'll keep reporting and letting you know as new things come out. I know we got probably a full 2 months yet before the next immersive video that we know of is going to be coming out. That's the U2 concert. I'm going to be very interesting to see where that goes. And it looks like Apple's also doing a lot of trailers with immersive videos too. I saw a couple quick snippets of things, but I think everybody's itching to get some new content in the immersive area because that is just the most phenomenal thing. I mean, obviously like Metallica and some of the other things that were out there. I like watching those again. So did you have anything to add, Marty?
Yeah, I've heard some rumor bubbling up that there's not much in this upgrade, probably because we are moving closer to 3.0. This is just going to be tweaks. We're not going to see any major applications or changes at this point, and we'll hopefully get 3.0 out before WWDC.
Yeah, I would venture to say it may not come out till WWDC. So, and it definitely isn't anything that we're going to be seeing until then. But I would think that day, probably just like all the other updates, with iOS 19 and iPadOS 19 and all the others will probably come out there as well. So let's go ahead and move on in beta this week. 2 things came out. iOS 18.4 was released to the public, so everybody has it. But we always start with beta first, so I didn't anticipate this, but it happened. iOS 18.5 beta 1 was also released this week. That's the first seeds that are out this week. That was out to developers for testing purposes. There really hasn't been much discussion as far as what we're waiting on. Obviously, we're waiting on some of the Siri Apple Intelligence features. You don't have much else with that right now, so I haven't really seen much else that I could find. There are a couple everything's as far as what new things are in it as well. They did make some updates to Mail. If you tap the 3 dots in the upper right corner of the Mail app, you can now toggle contact photos on and off directly from the interface. The Apple Care info is now in there very easily, so you can see what your Apple Care coverage is. As well as more features, there wasn't really much that we saw here. Eric, you're on beta, I assume, and did you see anything comes across with that?
I did not do the iOS beta because
you didn't. Okay, I'm sorry.
I can't live without my phone. Now I did to be able to check the software out for VisionOS. So I did the 2.4 and the beta for that, 18.4. But then when it was fully released, I kind of froze it for a bit, and I'm sitting there not doing the upgrade at least until we finish doing this collaborative stuff. And once I tested it, then I'll do I might step back and say, well, I have to test this and see if we can get some stuff fixed.
Good thing for me is I have a 16E, so I'm running beta on that, but I don't run it on my 16 Pro Max because, of course, like you said, daily driver, don't be stupid.
Machines.
Yeah, you'll regret it. How about you, Marty? Have you seen? Did you get iOS 16.5?
Yes, I've got it on there. I haven't seen anything particularly new with it, but I'm stupid. When it pops up, I go, yeah, I'll push the button and go ahead and do the beta upgrade. I haven't had any problems. I don't know. I see reports, not on this, but just in general, Everybody warns, don't do it. Don't do it on your work machine. I have never had a problem. I don't know if I have some magical Harry Potter powers or something, but it just never happens. Just never happens. And I'm new to the game. So those of you who got burned like 15 years ago and are still holding on to that regret, I don't have that.
Not yet.
Yet.
Yeah, yet. Anything you wanted to add, Jeff?
There's nothing of value I can add to this. The only change that I noticed in the 18.5 beta is that the version number is now 18.5.
Okay. Well, you got that one.
So so at least there's that.
So a lot of complaints with the Mail app because everybody liked the old Apple Mail design back, and there was some way you were able to do it in 18.4 and prior, but it was just a bunch of steps you had to go through. In 18.5, they did say that contact photos, as I mentioned, can be disabled right from it within the Mail app, and you also can disable categorization because I'm not a big fan of categories, and as well as you can disable the Apple Intelligence powered priority messages feature, which surfaces more important emails to the top of your mailbox. So there was a number of different easy changes to the Mail app if you wanted to change it back the way you want, like the way it was. Because not a lot of people like that design. I don't know, but what you guys feel what comes with the Mail app with that? I mean, some of you may not use it, but
I kind of like the features and the look. I had some problem with the fact that summaries weren't always accurate, and that because I have way too much mail, it was really slow. So I get a bunch of cases where, there's a message, I really want to read it, but other than a blank space, there is nothing there. So I've been taking to flipping between the phone and a Mac just to read my mail, which is kind of not good.
Yeah.
You're not alone, Eric.
Yeah.
Apple Mail is still a kludgy kind of janky app. I know for some people it works great, but I always feel like it's this close to just spinning apart completely.
Yeah, that is true. And we've also got, I want to mention our chat in our YouTube channel, youtube.com/intouchwithiOS. It's great to see Webb Bixby in our chat. And he did ask, I'm not going to upgrade iOS to iOS 18.4 until Dave says it's okay. Well, I say it's okay. Webb, I would do it because it's been out for a few days here. So
I think it's okay. I mean,
I think it's safe too.
Between all of us, we've been running 18.4 for quite a while now. And if there was going to be a problem by the time the public release came out, we probably would have encountered it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a unique situation with mail. The way I sort my mail is to have my office mail, unfortunately, has to run on Outlook because that's what the company college is all set up on. So I have two mail apps on my phone. I have Outlook, and then I have the Mail app, which handles my iCloud account and my Google account. And I've noticed some of the delays that Eric has spoken about, particularly when I've closed down the app and am waiting to open it up to catch up with it, because I bounce between my Mac and also my phone for mail. Just that's my workflow. And it seems to respond better on my Mac than it does on my iOS device. But it's kind of nice. It's helped me keep my two worlds separate in terms of material, having two different apps instead of having one app where I ran everything through it. So, again, I'm running the betas. So don't do what I do. Don't even do what I say.
Yeah, there's no question. Don't do it when you do update the beta on an iPhone unless it's unless it's something you want to brave.
A sacrificial machine.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about some of the updates to 18.4. We've been talking about it during the beta cycle here, but 18.4 did add an Apple Intelligence priority notifications feature that shows you your most important notifications first, and then priority notification is disabled by default, but you can turn it on by going into settings, notifications, and priority notifications to tap the toggle. Visual Intelligence is now available for the iPhone 15 Pro models. So it was always on the 16 models, but the Pro and the Pro Max, it's not an option just limited to iPhone 16 anymore, which is great. And then the Visual Intelligence action button, you can add that to the action button that activates that. So you can do that in the 16 in the iPhone 16 models. There's a control center area for Apple Intelligence, includes the Siri option as well as the now removed Siri section. So you've got that as well. The Image Playground sketch tile. I know, Marty, you're just a big fan of Image Playground. That's available there. Of course, what else would be there without having some new emojis, which is some fun, silly ones like a harp and a fingerprint and a tree and all kinds of crazy stuff.
I've been waiting for the turnip.
Turnip's important. We talked about the Vision Pro app.
That was a radish.
Yeah, I thought that looked like a radish, actually.
Okay, so it's a radish. You're right.
We talked about the Vision Pro app, of course, and then Apple News Plus, which was announced during beta cycle for the Apple News Plus subscribers now have a Apple News food section, which will feature tens of thousands of recipes, stories about restaurants, tips for healthy eating, and kitchen essentials, and all kinds of more. Ambient music we've talked about, so that's there as well. And then you have all kinds of other new things. Genmoji, which I'm not a big fan of. There's new options in the Photos app, which allow you to filter your libraries by images that were shared with you by others, or by those who are not included in an album, which is useful for separating out the content that you've organized into albums. So they've added that as well. So a number of other items here that were added as well. So I mean, it just keeps getting updated. And anything stand out for you guys that you've liked on this update at all? Eric, I'll start with you.
Searching in pictures seems to have gotten significantly better. And I've had like some really weird searches, like trying to find a particular tomato at a farmer's market, but not remembering which one it was. All of a sudden, I get all the tomatoes in my pictures. I can scan through. Yeah, so that's probably my most favorite feature is successfully searching photos and getting a result that I actually want.
How
about you,
guess
Jeff?
I'm going to need to try and search photos again. I'd kind of given up. The new thing that I'm most excited about is what you're going to hit on probably next. So I'll just wait.
Okay. Anything with you, Marty, with this?
Yeah, I move around from new pieces to new, but this week it's been ambient music because I found myself in a place where I've got to get some work done, and I can't have general music on with vocals. I can't have a movie going or something else in the background, and the ambient music has worked out really well for me. So I've been playing around with that. I also like the fact, since I have a 16E, that you can do the Visual Intelligence action button. You can add that to the action button. So we don't have camera buttons per se on 16Es like you do on the other 16 lines. So having a quick kind of action button for that particular action is great.
Yep. A couple other things that stood out here is Apple iOS 18.4 now is going to let you set default iPhone apps in these new categories. The translation default is available broadly, whereas the navigation is limited to the EU. Translation is now available everywhere, so you can actually change it to default translation app from Apple Translate to maybe a third-party app such as Google Translate. In the EU, you can now make another change, which is navigation. If you want to make Google Maps as your default maps program instead of Apple Maps, you could do that. As well as you could change your navigation to Waze, so that has that available as well. In the US, you should see 9 category options, whereas the navigation 10th will just be the EU, which includes email, messaging, calling, call filtering, browser app, translation, passwords and codes, contactless apps, and keyboards. So a lot of that stuff's been around for a while. So you've got some pretty good things that now changed your defaults to even more. Anything you wanted to touch upon on this, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm glad Apple is giving people more control. I think for at least a subset of us, this isn't as big a deal as excuse me, as people are making out. Excuse me, because we've already figured out the workarounds to use the other apps that we want as defaults anyhow.
Mhm.
So giving us a system setting to change them at this point feels more like a thing to keep regulators happy, as opposed to something that most people are even going to mess with.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to add on this?
It feels like it's one of those features that will make it so that when the S lady is more helpful and wants to launch something for you, she has a greater chance of getting it right. This,
Yeah.
so kind of tweaking this and adding things and adding categories, I think is just a way to improve accuracy. We just haven't seen it being used a lot yet. So I think going forward, this is just sort of that first step.
Yep. So it's good to see we can make some changes to defaults. I mean, we've had a number of the big ones like browsers and such that have been there forever. So we're good with that. So another thing that they did with iOS 18.4 was the Messages app. You now can they've added new RCS features for a lot of new users. It was a big upgrade in the iOS 18, but the biggest impact was RCS support. It was been a slow rollout, but among some carriers. Fortunately, with iOS 18.4, Messages is now to a lot more users, including Google Fi, Mint Mobile, and others. So now you've got other features includes the typing indicators, which I love. Finally, see that from an Android user. Read receipts, much more improved media sharing, and then the tap back reactions, which are kind of cool. Of course, now only the 3 major carriers were doing it. They all supported RCS, but now you have a long list. As I mentioned, Google Fi and Mint Mobile. You also have Boost Mobile, Metro by T-Mobile, Tello, Ultra, US Mobile, and there are more. So if your carrier hasn't done it, so that's good news for you, Jeff, because you have Mint Mobile, and
Yes.
that is a good
Excuse
thing
me.
now. So
This is the
have you
feature
noticed?
that I was most excited to see, and I'm very well aware. I don't have Apple to thank for this. Is the carriers, they have to do the update on their back end.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of these carriers a stupid long time. So hooray, it's finally done. I have quite a few people that I'm messaging with all the time that are on Android phones, and many of them, they have RCS support available. So for me, this is great, because now I feel like I'm on a more even, more robust playing field with Android messaging. So not like I'm saying, oh, finally I have Android messaging features. It's just now features that I have come to rely on and expect to have for years. I can have those with my Android chats as well.
Yep. Marty, anything you want to add?
I've been enjoying this so much because I'm in a mixed marriage. By that, I mean my wife's relatives use Androids. And it's always in group chat, it's always been a problem. I will sometimes send a notice back and that bar just hangs up and then dies. And I'm seeing less and less of that now. It's great for that purpose. And, it would be, oh, I can't do it on my Mac. I have to go to my phone because I've got some Android users and I might have to actually message them separate from the rest of the group in order to make it work. It's just working so much better.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, Other Mac OSs that were updated, tvOS 18.5 was released. Nothing really to note to really talk about with that. But Watch OS 11.4 it came out with 3 new features. Interestingly enough, when it came out a couple days ago, when it was released, and the site had been updated to remove the update, so people had to wait a few extra days. So back then, 2 days ago, they relaunched it for all the users, and I went ahead and updated it. So Watch is working fine. Notably, some of the things it gained, including a new alarm option, emoji, and there's more. Matter-compatible robot vacuum cleaners can be added to the home app, as well as in scenes and automations. Simply use this lady and clean the living room. An option to allow a sleep wake up alarm to break through silent mode. 7 new emojis, of course. We've talked about emojis. And an issue where face selection may become unresponsive when switching faces that was fixed. So nothing of a crisis of as far as anything relatively new. So let's and you guys noticed anything with the watch that stood out?
Nope. I wound up finding out about it, the update, after they started to announce the problem and pullback. And so when it was available, I went and put it on both my watches. So,
yep. So also, Apple did release a new version of the Invites app. 1.1 is now available in the App Store. It coincided with 18.4's launch. There really isn't much excitement with this. It just has some stability and performance enhancements. So they just keep that up to date. If anybody doesn't remember, the Invites app allows you to create invitations and a little more robust than what the Calendar app does. So it's have you guys been using the invitations app? Eric, have you used this much at all?
I tried it the first one and it seemed not quite stable. So
Yep.
I haven't come up with something where I need to invite people. So maybe next week. But I'm sort of looking forward to trying it because I keep hoping it will do more, or it will be kind of a jumping off point for some more automation stuff.
Yep.
I tried on the using it once, and it was in the version 1.0, and I even called the person that I was going to use this with. And I said, hey, just so you know, you're going to see this thing come through. It's from me, so it's legit. And they got it and then never accepted the invite, never looked at it. And I'm like, did you even see it? And they're like, oh, yeah, I just didn't care. And I'm like, holy crap, I told you. Anyhow. So my one attempt to try it out failed because of a lack of interest on the other end. My question is, do we know anyone that's actually using this app?
Yeah, not too many.
I'm not saying no one is. I'm just saying I don't know anyone that's using it.
I used it once. Actually, it was the one time that I actually enjoyed creating something with Image Playground to be part of the invitation, and it worked fairly well. I sent it out to my mixed family, and the Android users said they got it. They might not have gotten the invitation, but they got a notice of it. And it, for all intent and purposes, it worked well. Now, I think part of what happens here is they might be fixing bugs, but they might also be reminding me, hey, folks, there's an invitation app. You might want to look at it. And I'll send an invitation to Eric to ask him to go tomato shopping at the farmer's market.
That's worth it right there.
Yeah, it is. So with that, there was a couple other things here. There was a bug that seemingly resurrects a previously deleted iPhone apps. It was actually happening. This was just discovered. There was several Reddit up threads on this and in the community support in Apple that reports of users who have, after updating to 18.4, immediately discovering that third-party apps and/or games installed on their devices were not there as they were before. going on these reports, the update had manifested into a bug that's causing apps to then reappear, since in most cases it appears that the apps had been deleted by the users months or even years ago, and then they reappear again. So there hasn't been really any other things said about this beyond it being some reports. I know you read Reddit pretty frequently. Or Marty, did you read anything about this?
No, not at all. And I'm reading the article that you have posted from Mac Rumors, and they make likewise, the bug is impacting users with devices that have never been jailbroken and have never used an alternative marketplace outside of the Apple Store. So,
yeah. So that's about it. Like I said, it fixed. You definitely want to get all these updates out. It's about 50 plus vulnerabilities. So there's another reason by itself that you should be updating to 18.4 for sure, as well as macOS Sequoia 15.4. So be sure you do run the updates here. So that is a good thing here. And one other thing I will mention is, and you brought this up earlier, Eric, in our private chat, Apple did update the iWork apps that was announced today as we're recording for both iOS and iPadOS and macOS. It's got some new features on both those platforms. For example, these all require that to be on 18.4 and on 15.4. So this isn't for the previous version OSs. So you now can make text edits using writing tools directly into a presentation, spreadsheet, or document in Keynote. This feature requires Apple Intelligence, which is available on these models. So in addition, Apple has you can now export a presentation, spreadsheet, or document to another format using the Shortcuts app. 3 apps gained improved copy and paste integration with the free format. Each app has received a few other enhancements as well. So there was quite a number of different updates here. Even Numbers got some love with over 30 new advanced functions, including many others I'm not even going to go through here, but you can check that out. And Pages also had some updates as well. So, and it's available for both Mac OS as well as iOS and iPad OS. But again, you have to have the latest version to do this. Did you try these at all, Eric?
A little bit, and I was also, whenever they do updates, I check on the Vision Pro to see if there's anything. And the Vision Pro, it seemed mostly bug fixes and some speed up things. They didn't really add anything else. And it was like right before the show that I noticed the update. So I haven't had a chance to play yet, but I am ever hopeful because I want to do some more presentation stuff with Keynote and multiple Vision Pro users.
And you guys look at the iWork apps yet?
I just checked I checked my version, and I haven't upgraded it yet. So
I'm having the random long-standing bug with the iWork apps and updates, where this time the updates are not showing up in the App Store app on my Mac under the update section.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing that happens, I guess, randomly to people, and this time it's my turn. So if that's you, the fix is you go into the App Store app on your Mac, you go to the iWork apps, and then you can update directly from there. It's a weird bug.
Yeah, I've got 37. I've got 37 updates that I was paging through it to see, and then when I didn't see the iWork as being part of it, I thought, oh well, maybe it upgraded with that, and then I went to check the apps, and it's nope. So I've got some work to do after the show.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Speaking of work, we can move on to In Touch with Mac. This week, Apple did release macOS Sequoia 15.4. The mail categorizations and more were released on this fourth major update. And you can go out and, like I said, it's bringing the mail categorization to the mail app. I stopped using the mail app, honestly, so I've never been a big fan of it. But there wasn't really much else that I saw. You get the same thing with the food section on the News Plus, and then the photos updates we talked about in iOS and iPadOS. So there really wasn't much there as far as that goes. macOS 15.5 was also released in beta, and that was just right off of when 15.4 just came out. So again, not much that we know of any functionality in the beta just yet. So that's a new in the beta world. That's beta 1. So again, don't put it on your production device, people. So the other thing here is I found this little quick tip here in Mac here, saving time by resizing your images on Mac with a quick action. It can be easily done in the preview app, but the workflow requires you to scale the image to a specific size for uploading to a blog and such. A quick action, it could be a much faster way of getting it done. This was the article in Mac Rumors. I thought this was very interesting, and I need to put this in here. It's using the Automator app, but that's going from the old days here, the Automator app, but it's still there and still does its good jobs, right?
From the old days. Then, it's still new to me. I'm from AppleScript days.
That's true. AppleScript is old. I think I still have my AppleScript book on my bookshelf behind me here. Nice. So yeah, you create a quick action, and it puts it on the quick action under files and folders action. Then you get specific Finder items in the workflow area, and then you can go through and program this. And I think this is worth going through this article and setting this up, because I like to resize photos quite a bit, and it's always a number of steps you have to do to get it done. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing here, what it can do, but check that out. And this is something that interests you guys. I think this is something that is pretty cool.
I'll give this one a big high five. Using Automator for image manipulation, that's one of those cool things that you've been able to do for a long time, but a lot of people don't know it. And I've had various workflows over the years where I would have to batch resize images or batch something else to images. And using an Automator action like this is just super cool. And then take it a step farther, attach it to a folder. So you just drag the images into the folder and it just happens.
You guys want to add anything to this?
I guess I'm new school. The article interests me, but for me, it's take the picture, drop it into an app like Resize, or there was another one that I used, ImageWell, and ImageWell was on and off in terms of different versions. Like it's not working, then it's working. I probably will use a separate app for doing this. I'll have to go through the article and tinker, but try it out and see if it's any more efficient.
Marty, this is efficient if you need to do the same thing a lot. So, meaning, you're going to have an image that needs to be resized to, it's a specific size image, always resized to another specific size. Yeah. Something like this is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Eric?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was there before or not, but in Photos, you always used to be able to copy edits and then paste them for, like adjustments and stuff. I think the interface, when you do that, also lets you to apply crops. And I don't remember seeing that before. So I'm not sure when that showed up. But that's also convenient if you have a whole pile of pictures where you're changing it and you're resizing it. I don't know if it's as precise as this. So I really want to play with this one, because being able to specify the exact size is a big thing.
Oh, for sure.
All right, Eric, take it to the next level. So it resizes, set it to a specific image format, and then keep your Automator action going. So once it's done, then it moves it to the specific folder that you need it to go into, and then have it fire off a message to Marty to let him know that you're more efficient than he is.
Huh? Yeah.
He doesn't have to go to the trouble to do that to prove that fact.
Yeah.
Next topic I want to talk about here, and I've talked about this before with the Apple Watch and having the ability for the watch to do some non-invasive glucose monitoring. And Apple's been attempting to develop this for over 15 years of work in making this a reality in this consumer device. Mark Gurman went through and is saying it's going to be many, many more years away for this to be a thing, which is kind of sad. I think this is something that, I use the Dexcom. I have diabetes, and it works okay, but it's still intrusive because I still have to pop something onto my arm, and it is a needle that's going in there, and it stays connected for 10 days. But this is supposed to be something that's intrusive with the watch. And I mean, obviously the technology's got a bit of ways to go. Is it going to be able to do something like, you think about it, how can it really scan through your skin and measure your blood glucose level? I'm sure Apple and their engineers are doing all kinds of work to do this, but it isn't perfected yet, because we know how Apple works. When if something isn't perfected, they're not going to release it. Well, maybe Apple Intelligence, but that's another story. It really originated during the Steve Jobs era, and that it was going to have some sort of watch sensor that can you can see if they're pre-diabetic, and the health focus apps that they're trying to do aimed at diabetes prevention. So I just don't know. They may be offering another new AI-powered health coaching feature that can help health recommendations and lifestyle, but it's not going to really be part of the health service with Apple. So I just don't see this coming anytime soon. Jeff, what do you think on this as far as this? When is this going to happen, or if it's going to happen, really?
It'll probably happen at some point. But yeah, of course, it's years away. And keep in mind, Apple isn't the only company that's working on this. There are medical device companies that have been trying to overcome this non-invasive glucose monitoring for a very long time. So it's not like Steve Jobs was the person who came up with the idea, but yeah, Apple's definitely been pushing to try and be a leader in this space. This is really hard stuff, and it's something where you have to get it right the first time. And I don't think anyone is at a point right now where they would feel comfortable saying, yes, we are very close. We are months away from releasing a legit non-invasive blood glucose monitor. I don't think anyone's there yet. We're years away. Keep in mind, once it's developed, well, at least today, who knows with what's happening with all the government layoffs in the U.S., but at least today, there's an extensive review process that these devices have to go through with the Food and Drug Administration before they can be authorized for general consumption, if you will. And that takes a long time too. This isn't something Apple's going to surprise us with at WWDC.
Right. That's for sure. So, what do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And even if they had something ready to go, it would take a while to then convert that over to a new model and get that, that adds time. So the testing adds time, the create a model and ship it adds time, and if the sensor's not ready yet. So yes, kind of managing expectations, pushing them out their ways is good. Apple doesn't want to have another thing like Apple Intelligence that they talk about but don't ship.
Yep.
I was so depressed by the news that I had a candy bar. I mean, the groomer just depressed me for a couple of days, and I got a bag of chocolate down here that I work into when I need it. I would say, to their advantage, there are devices that are able to do kind of optical stuff through the skin. And my understanding is that's sort of where it's going. And by that means they'll be able to determine sort of the level of sugar in somebody's blood, and that's how they'll get their numbers. The advantage is it's non-invasive. I would imagine those devices that are invasive, like the things that Dave and I wear on our arms, that we have to needle ourselves each week with, or every other
Nowadays,
week
yeah.
with. Yeah. Probably took a lot more FDA approval than what essentially an optical sensor would do. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Apple can inject me with nanobytes, and if it will give me my blood sugar. This is the sales pitch I keep telling my wife every time I need a new watch or want a new watch. Let's put it that way. Let's be honest.
But honey, this is the one that puts nanites in me to constantly monitor. So I have to have the watch for the monitoring.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll see where it goes. That's for sure. I'm going to definitely keeping my eyes on this, but I think we got a bit of ways to go before we're going to be anywhere near that. So before we move on to the news, I've been working with this Etsy site for quite some time because it has some pretty amazing Apple centric posters. It's a store called KOF Design Art, and if anybody hasn't noticed, for many years that behind me, when I'm on here and it's kind of blocked, but I have a poster behind me that says the evolution of the iPhone, and it shows every single iPhone that's ever been released. So of course, what's cool is he updates it every time there's a new device that's released. So, and of course, I got obsessed and probably bought every single one of these are on the first page here, because you have the evolution of the Mac, evolution of the iPhone, the evolution of the iPod, and the evolution of the iPad. And I, of course, own all four of those. I didn't print them, but the cool thing is it's just he updates it. And, in fact, I had reached out to the seller and said, hey, he hadn't even updated the iPad one yet because the iPad Mini had come out and it wasn't on that poster just yet. So he did it, and then of course shortly after I mentioned that, both the new Air came out, so you had to get all those new ones for this year. So, but he updates them very frequently, and I asked him nicely, he said, hey, I just bought this one, and then now this updates, because anyway you can offer me a link, and then he did. So that he didn't have to do that. They're not expensive. He's charging about $6.98 for each of these posters.
Yeah.
The cool thing is he does it in different sizes, so you can get all the way down from 8.5 by 11 all the way up to 24 by 36. So you can print it into a big frame. I know it's blurred here, but that's behind me, and it print a nice big size poster, which is really cool. And I got to update that one now, because of course I got the one with the 16E in the new poster. So yeah, I'll be printing all the time. I send it off to like Instaprint or whatever those places that print out those big posters, and pay that every year. But they're really cool. I mean, and especially the old ones like the iPods, and seeing all the old iPods, just using it as a desktop background, I think they make some great stuff. But if you take a look at some of the other things that he offers too, he's got some great think different sayings that Steve Jobs had said, as well as if you go into the category, he's got almost 59 different poster series for Apple. Of course, he's got that Yum one like you have, Marty,
Right.
you got from Macstock last year. As well, he's got a lot of think different ones. There's even one for the very original Apple 1976 logo. And it's kind of fun. I wanted to give him a shout out and see how much cool things that he has. And he's got other stuff besides Apple on his site too. But I've been following him for a number of years here, and I thought, what the heck? I'll give him a shout out for helping me out with this stuff. So check it out. I think it's really cool. It's links in the show notes. It's on Etsy. So and it was really cool. So all right, let's move on to some of the news stories this week. A couple here. Visa and American Express are vying to win Apple Card deal in a very fierce fight. Apple wants to pay Visa wants to pay Apple approximately $100 million for its new payment network for the Apple Card. This was reported from the Wall Street Journal. Right now, the Apple Card is on the MasterCard payment network, but of course, it's set to change because Apple is that's what they say anyway, is ending the partnership with Goldman Sachs, as we've been talking about before. American Express is also vying to replace its service as well. So they're kind of battling this out. they've been working on this dissolution since dissolve this partnership since 2023. Nothing really's come of it. I know they were looking at JP Morgan Chase and Synchrony Financial was in talks over with Apple. Apple's being very selective. I think they're just making sure that they do the right thing. I'm thinking pretty over 12 million users in the United States with over $20 billion in balances, which is pretty amazing if you think about those numbers. So I think this is something that I mean, I love the Apple Card. I wouldn't go without it. I mean, the financing for any Apple product through the Apple Store is amazing, and I'm going to look every month how much I pay every month. It's like all the things I have, but it is what it is. I mean, they as long as you buy an iPhone with the carrier that was one of the rules they changed. Now you get 24 months for the iPhone. You just pay straight out, divided by 24. Not as much as the monkeying around with the carrier. You know, I'll say when you do buy an iPhone from the carrier, and when they say, "Oh yeah, you get 24 months," and because I traded in an iPhone as I talked about a couple weeks ago, I got $500 credit for the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and that's how I bought the 16e. So that left $100 left on my balance, but of course I have to pay that over 24 months. So what is that? $10? That'd be crazy not to pay that ahead of time, because then I would have to pay the full 500 because it's considered a 24-month credit. So, but anyway, so they do have some good financing options with the Apple Card, and I'm hoping that this goes well, because I really enjoy that card. And I think many of you have cards too, don't you think, Marty?
I'm excited about this because these are like two of my favorite companies, and I have cards with them, and it's like watching two friends duke it out. You're kind of cheering for both of them. The other piece, and you know, it's been a worry what's going to happen to Apple and the Apple Card, and now that we know we've got two people seriously looking at it, I heard something this morning that really what the issue is not the card, not the issue, but where the profit is for these companies is not the card, but the traffic that goes through their pipeline. So, and somehow that enriches the service that they have and what they produce. So, not that they're going to take a hit on the Apple Card, and we don't know what the arrangements will be with it, but it's more than just having a card associated with it. It's really the financial stuff that goes through their pipeline.
Right. And a good note from Web Bixby in the chat room here. But remember, this is just to use the network. That's what that is. American Express is the network.
Right.
But American Express can be a bank too, because they are a bank, whereas Visa is a network. But you know, what bank does this is a whole nother story. So they got to also get that in place too. So maybe American Express might be a little more lucrative because it's both. You know, it's both the network as well as the bank. But hard to say. So, any thoughts on this, Eric?
Well, I'm hoping for Visa because I keep shopping at Costco and you have to use a Visa. So I haven't been able to use my Apple Card. I have to use like Apple Pay, which is Visa, and it's more roundabout. So,
yep. Well, I do both Costco and Sam's. Sam's takes the MasterCard, so I can use. I think they take Apple Pay, if I'm not mistaken. They do. Sam's does anyway. But I mean, if you have your Visa card in Apple Pay, that's not. Like you can add your Costco Visa, which I have that. You can use it. You can use an Apple Pay. So, any thoughts, Jeff?
I feel like I should make popcorn and sit back and just watch. Because here we have reports that Visa and Amex are both trying to get on this. I'm wondering, is the easier path for Apple though? To continue using MasterCard and just find a different card service to use MasterCard, because it's not like they have to give up MasterCard, right?
Right. And like Web said in the chat here, you know, they're not out of it yet, and you know MasterCard's looking to stay with it as well because they know how lucrative this is. I would think, right? So. All right, let's talk about Max, which is HBO Max. They rebranded again, and this time I guess it succeeded. Maybe HBO Now gave way to HBO Max, which became just Max, and then Max is getting HBO vibes by getting yet another rebranding. This go around, it was just mainly about color changes, but it might be the most successful rebranding net for the streamer. Is that true? It went from this
No.
crazy purple blue, and now it's black. Okay, I'm opening it right up to Jeff because you are the designer.
Oh my God.
This-
Okay.
that's
So
suspension with the color.
what they did with the logo, it does look a lot nicer. And it does have a feel that's reminiscent of when you would see the HBO logo on a television. So I get what they're going for here. This is still a crap rebrand because it doesn't have HBO in the name. The single most recognizable entertainment platform outside of Disney.
And I think that
they
theme song that they always
dropped that
play
from
too.
their name. Yeah,
I remember that theme song that before every show they would play. Da 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 da.
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was synonymous to HBO too.
Dropping the HBO part was, I think, a horrible mistake. I kind of scanned through this article, and the author's like, "Yeah, and this makes sense. It shouldn't have HBO in the name." Wrong. It's an HBO product. It should have HBO in the name. Put HBO with the new logo they created, and that's a nice logo.
And everybody says HBO. I mean, you look John Oliver. I mean, last week tonight, biggest show in the world on that network, and he always says HBO. I'm HBO, and a lot of others do. But the HBO's got. I mean, Max does have some great shows. I mean, there's a number of shows I've been watching right now.
Yeah, HBO has a lot of great shows that they stream on Max.
Yeah, on Max, right? But they've even changed it now, where you actually can watch the live channel now. They now have that on there, so you can watch like HBO, HBO East, HBO West, without those like it was on cable. But then I got a lot of great shows. One of them is The Pit, which is the from Pittsburgh Hospital, and Noah Wiley's in it. It's a really great show. And The White Lotus is out now, and that's a good
Does
show.
Noah Wiley do anything other than
medical
doctor in a hospital shows?
Yeah. Yeah, apparently, because it's been 30 years since ER when I last left the ER. So,
Dave, this is just going to spark another argument in our household because my wife was trying to find HBO Max on her iPad, and I said, "Honey, it's Max." And now you're telling me the logo's changing again because she wanted to watch The Pit. And we finally set it up so she could do that, but she was fixated on this HBO Max, looking for the HBO Max app or icon on it to get it set up.
Max.
Yeah, it's Max.
So no surprise here. There's always something changing with streaming these days. Last story here of this week. New Plex mobile app with streamlined interface is rolling out to users. They did roll out a new version of the mobile app, and it's a fairly major redesign that features expanded artwork, streamlined navigation, and a dedicated tab for centralizing media libraries designed for personal media pros, as a quote unquote. The Plex said in a forum post that the updated app is being fully deployed over the course of a week and introduced several key improvements from feedback that everybody said on it. And it was released as Plex did previously announce that there's going to be some subscription price changes. Starting on April 29th, the company is going to increase the cost of a Plex Pass to $6.99 monthly or $69.99 annually. But of course, those who have a lifetime Plex Pass, which I do, and paid less than $100 for it, I think it was a good move on my part doing that. So, but cool to see Plex continues to evolve their app. Don't you think, Eric?
Oh yeah. In fact, I finally just got my Plex Pass. If I can ever get my network working, so I can share things, but it works great in the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been pretty happy.
On my
with
Synology box. My Synology box is running it in NAS. So, any thoughts, Jeff?
I am looking forward to seeing the new app on my Apple TV because I know there's some good features in the new app.
Absolutely.
And we have yet to tax my Raspberry Pi Plex server. So I'm going to go with the code that they've written is pretty efficient.
Yep. Marty, you don't have a Plex server, right?
I like I said, I have purchased the Plex app for years and years and years. I do have a Synology, tried to set it up on Synology, and my limited skill set didn't make it run the way I wanted it to run. I have a whole collection of things that I've got on stored media devices that I could probably put on it to run it. So yeah, you're tempting me to go ahead and play do it again, and try and make these things work, which is always the fun part of these shows, because you three guys always come up with ideas that seem to work well for you, and it's like, what about me? I got to make this work now. So,
But Marty, here's the dirty secret. We don't tell you about it until we've gone through the pain and gotten it to work right. And then we start talking about it. So to you, it sounds like we had this easy peasy, super breezy setup, when in fact we probably went through days of wailing and gnashing of our teeth while we got it sorted out.
and you tell me not to load betas? I mean, it seems like that's the same process.
That's fair, but when I completely hose my Raspberry Pi, I just pull the SD card out and pop another one in.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, before we go, I wanted to talk about Macstock. Macstock is coming up on July 11th, 12th, and 13th. We've got, I'm going to be speaking, as well as Marty, and I think Jeff Gamet is. I think Chuck Joyner is. I think there's going to be Brian Flanagan Arthur speaking, and a number of others that he's announced already. We want you to come out and see us and have a blast. It's 3 full days of fun with everybody here. We'll probably do a live podcast there. You never know. We're at 98 days before we, as I'm looking at this as we're recording today, and the theme is share. So they're going to be doing a lot of sharing of different information. So you can get yourself a weekend pass, and it's a great deal. They will include lunch, as well as you get a commemorative Macstock T-shirt. I've got all 10 of my T-shirts somewhere, as well as 10 of my mugs. There are probably going to be some potential evening activities and lots of swag. So it's going to be a lot of fun here. And in fact, I'm on the site, and he does have everybody's pictures posted to who is speaking so far. Well, look at that. Brittany Smith is speaking. That is official. I did not know that. As well as Brett Terpstra. And there is Marty's son Wilt is going to be speaking too. That's amazing. Kirsten Say is going to be there like she was many years past. And it looks like there's a new speaker, Chris Cook. I do not know her. So those are the people that are up there so far. As well as Macstock is going to have a great sponsor with Ecamm. I can't wait to see that with all kinds of stuff they're going to be there talking about. So come check it out. It's, like I said, July 11th, 12th, and 13th. It's coming up very soon. One of the great things is I have an exclusive coupon for In Touch with iOS viewers and listeners. If you use the code INTOUCH50 at checkout, you will save $50 of the cost of the tickets. So all you have to do is go to Macstock.conferenceandexpo.com, or better yet, just go to our link in the show notes to register. Use that code, and you will save $50 on that discount there. You can't beat it. Also, I've got a link to the hotel rooms that are available through the hotel that's nearby that are not nearby, that the hotel we're going to be having the event. From previous years. So you also get a discount for a room. The room is really good pricing. So you can't really beat that. So please join us. All 4 of us will be there, and many other of our friends, and hopefully some new friends. So again, go to Macstock.conferenceandexpo.com. Use the discount code INTOUCH50 at checkout, and you will save $50 to come see us at Macstock. I can't wait. I'm sure you guys can't either.
It's going to be fun.
It's a blast every single year.
It really is. So come check us out. So with that, let's go ahead and wrap up for this week. Thank you guys so much for being here. We had a great show this week. Let's go ahead and wrap her up. This is a wrap. That is a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. Follow us on Blue Sky and Mastodon. It's at InTouchWithIOS. Support the show. Buy me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. you can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you're notified when we're live streaming, which is Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios. So it's great to see Web Bixby and many others out there. Thanks for being here this week. And you can watch the current live stream and the past live streams, as well as listen to past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on the Flipboard, where many of the topics we discuss are flipped into that magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But better yet, just go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are on that site. I am Dave Ginsburg. You can find me on Blue Sky and Mastodon at DaveG65. Eric Bolden, thank you so much. First-time guest, and hopefully more to come here. Where can people find you?
I can be found on Mastodon at EA Bolden at techhub.social. Also on Blue Sky at EA Bolden.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed it. We all enjoyed it. Jeff Gamet, thank you for being here. I'm so glad you're feeling better. And where can people find you?
It's feeling better is a relative thing compared to where I was last week. However, I'm super happy that I'm well enough that I can be here and hang out. So people can find me on social media as Jay Gamet, and I'm doing most of my posting right now on Mastodon and PixelFed. And then for shows, let's see if I have the energy to get through all this. Tuesdays on Chuck Joyner's Mac Voices Live, here with you on Thursdays for In Touch with iOS, on the British Tech Network for the Big Show on Thursdays and the Mac Show on Fridays. Brian Chaffin and I do The Context Machine, and Patrice Brendamore and I do Retro Rewatch, and I hope that's all of them because I just ran out of breath.
That's 6. I think you're good.
Okay.
Marty Jencius, thank you for so much for being here as well. Where can people find you?
Jencius, Jencius, at Blue Sky, also at mastodon.social. Eric and I do a show on Monday nights at 9 o'clock, Vision Profiles. We are 2 shows away from our 50th episode, so that's kind of fun.
That's super cool.
And we'll be giving gold gifts back and forth to us because it's our 50th show. And then Tuesdays with Chuck Joyner on Mac Voices, Wednesdays with the Old Mac Gang, also doing a show with my son called Gear Up and Go, and you'll meet him at Macstock if you join at Macstock. Thursdays here with Dave. Thank you for having me here, and it's always great to be part of this group.
Absolutely. And last but not least, I want to make sure I shout out to others that made it in the chat this week on youtube.com/intouchwithios. Jim Ray, great to see you. Thank you for being here this week. We always enjoy you in the chat, as well as Cletus. Cletus Heaps made it to the chat as well. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. All right, with that, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We always love doing the show, and I can tell you we'll probably be, in fact, I know we will be back next week. But until then, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk again.